In this video, we are going to discuss, number one, what causes your building's facade to deteriorate? What causes damage to the facade? Number two, if you're looking at your building's facade, what are you supposed to pay attention to? What are you actually looking for? What kind of problems? Number three, the facade inspection. It's a way that the city makes you do maintenance and repair. And in this section, we're going to discuss what is inspected during a facade inspection. What is the goal of the inspection? Who must conduct the inspection? And then when they conduct the inspection, how do they classify the condition of your facade? And then number four, let's say you're looking at your building and you think that you need maintenance and repairs. What are the next steps that you have to take? And then finally, number five, we're going to close out the video by giving you some examples of facade repair. I once spoke to a landlord who was very distraught, and he asked me about a violation that he got. What happened was there was an inspection in the building next to his building, and somehow the inspector ended up on the roof, and when he looked down and to the side, he noticed with this landlord's building that there was a defective stone cornice on the facade of the building. So this landlord got a violation, a very serious violation, to repair that cornice, which is a very difficult job and which we're going to discuss. This is not the actual cornice in the story, but just a similar example for illustration purposes. This landlord told me he felt sick to his stomach when he received this letter, which is called an emergency declaration.
To whom it may concern, the Department of Buildings inspected the above-referenced structure and has observed dangerous conditions at the structure or portion thereof. Due to the severity of the unsafe condition, the Department of Buildings has issued an emergency declaration. Because of the severity of the condition, the work to remediate the conditions must begin immediately. As owner, the responsibility to take such remedial action is yours. If you fail to timely and satisfactorily remediate the conditions as set forth in the emergency declaration, the city will perform the work as detailed in the emergency declaration. If the city performs the work, it may seek to recover its expenses from you.
This is a horrible letter to receive because you don't know how much it's going to cost you. You've planned all kinds of projects in your building. You have all kinds of fires that you have to put out, but now you don't know how much this is going to affect your budget. Especially if you're one of those landlords who's operating at losses, because this could cost you tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. You have to put all the pressing problems aside because now you have to spend time to find the right people to do the job and do all the paperwork. And then you have to worry about safety issues, like the pedestrians walking in front of your building or the tenants going in and out of the building. As if things couldn't possibly get any worse. The inspector is going to have to come back when you fix the issue and cure the violation. And whenever an inspector is in your building, you always run the risk that they're going to look for other violations. Preventative maintenance is not just waiting for an inspector to come and give you a violation. It's about being proactive. The fact that you're watching this video shows that you're a landlord who wants to get out in front of the problem and not just react to problems. Please look at our other videos on preventative maintenance, like our video on roofing and our other video on pest control. We're going to discuss more about the story of this landlord towards the end of the video. Please stay tuned. What causes damage to facades? Well, the obvious one is lack of maintenance. This is where deterioration and structural issues are not identified when they first start, but they are only addressed when they become more serious issues. Another cause of damage to facades is weather extremes. For example, stone expands and contracts in different temperatures, especially during the winter when you have a constant freezing and thawing cycle, which can lead to cracks. We will show you some examples of this later in the video. UV radiation and acid rain can also affect building materials. Another thing that can cause damage to facades are material types used during construction, especially if corners were cut. Bricks being pushed lower when the foundation settles can also cause damage to facades. And then finally, all the design elements in a building's facade, the brick and mortar, the terracotta, the stucco, the fire escapes, on, they all have predetermined lifespans. My building maintenance videos are all about looking for small problems before they become big problems. So if you're spending time at your building and you're walking around looking at things, when you're looking at your facade, it would be very helpful for you to be able to think about what are you actually looking for, what should you pay attention to. And if you know what to look for and what to pay attention to, it will be very valuable if your building maintenance staff, for example, if you have a super or a handyman, and they're there every day, and they know the building very intimately, that they also know or have an idea of what to look for that might be problematic. Since they spend so much time at the building, they will be able to recognize any change in your building facade very quickly. An incredible visual guide that can show you examples of problems that you might face with your building facade is published by the New York City Department of Buildings in a PDF file. I'm going to leave the link in the video description below. I think it's a good idea for you to look through the guide and also have your staff, your super or handyman, or even your building manager look through this PDF and get familiar with it. It's a great starting point. Let's dive right in and take a look at some of the illustrations. We're going to start with some issues that can happen with masonry, which is laid in and bound by mortar. This is a formation of white substances on the surface, which can be a result of water flowing through masonry. It's called efflorescence. Here is an example of the outer surface of the masonry splitting apart because the migration of water out of the brick is severely blocked. This is a case of brick coving, where there is a hollowing of the brick due to standing water. This is a wet wall. However, it's not wet because it rained outside. The wetness is actually internal because of possible problems with the plumbing system. Here is an example of deterioration of mortar in the joints due to frost cycles. The frost cycle is something that you're going to see a lot of in these examples because that constant expanding and contracting is something that causes a lot of issues. This problem in this picture is especially alarming because the mortar is losing its binding function and the masonry is held in place only by gravity. Here's a nightmare that you never want to see. This happens when stresses in the masonry exceed resistance of brick and/or mortar. Here is a common cause of cracks in concrete. It's a result of structural or thermal overstress. It becomes even more problematic when the cracks allow increased water penetration, which in turn accelerates corrosion. Then when the rainwater freezes in the crack, this will increase the size of the crack. I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, oh, here he goes again about preventative maintenance. Well, here's another example of how a really small problem, if not addressed, can become a big problem. Next, we're going to look at issues with terracotta. Terracotta was a facade material that was popular in the period between 1880 and 1930. One type of terracotta is brownstone, and it was used as a decorative piece along with the brick masonry facades. At this point, you're probably realizing that freezing and thawing can be destructive. In the picture, you see this is a crack in a load-bearing terracotta, which is another example of what happens with freezing and thawing when water is trapped. The terracotta piece is missing in this picture, which could be due to poor anchorage. Look at this fragmented stone unit. Here you have to watch out for water penetration and ice buildup in the back of the stone. The vertical pieces of the window frame have corrosion. You wouldn't be able to see this easily, and it would take an expert to discover this one. Here you can see a deteriorating window frame where the protective paint is not holding up, and then the wood starts to decay. Can you see the crack around the window frame? This could be from the overstress from above or behind, or the anchor could have corrosion as well. In this picture of a parapet, which is like a wall built above the roof line that goes around the perimeter of the building, you can see that the sealant is failing. In this picture, the guard railing components are unattached. This might be due to inadequate design construction where the connection is deteriorating. I don't know if this has to do with the material used or cutting corners during construction, but in any case, considering how high the balcony is, this looks pretty scary. As evidenced by this photo, this building is experiencing inward bowing. This means that the building structure is weak and moving as a result. Structural engineering analysis is necessary for this one. Metal and glass curtain walls can have issues. Here you see a deformed mullion, which is the piece between the windows. No discussion of facade maintenance and repair would be complete without a discussion about inspections. For facades, we need to discuss maintenance alongside inspections because they go hand in hand. By law, facades have periodic inspection requirements. Inspections are a way that the city makes you do maintenance and repairs. That's why I'm going to discuss inspections, but I'm not going to go into much detail. Since we live in New York City, I'm going to discuss inspections in New York City, but I was amazed to learn how inspections out of state and internationally are so similar to the inspections that we have here. And I'd be interested to hear from our out-of-state viewers and our international viewers how accessible the information is for the inspections in your municipality. Please leave us a comment in the comment section below. Take a look at this chart published by the New York City Department of Buildings. It shows you all the cities and even Singapore, and when the facade inspections were enacted and how often those inspections are held and who the inspections are performed by. In New York, the laws governing maintenance and inspection of facades are part of New York City's Facade Inspection and Safety Program. For buildings over 6 stories, a facade inspection is required every 5 years. Facade report and maintenance repair deadlines are divided into cycles depending on your building's block number. Here's a chart published by the New York City Department of Buildings that shows you how these cycles work. Here are some aspects of the facade that are inspected. One of the main goals of these inspections is not to deal with the symptoms of the problems, but rather to fix the root cause so that the issue is resolved once and for all, while removing the hazard. Who conducts the inspection? A qualified exterior wall inspector conducts the inspection. Qualified exterior wall inspectors are New York State licensed professional engineers or New York State registered architects. In the diagram, you can see how the inspectors classify the condition of the facade. The first order of business is to become familiar with the rules in your city, state, or country in which you live. Since we are based in New York City, the first thing that you can do is check on the Department of Buildings website, as it explains everything in detail. What work needs a permit and what work does not, what is considered an emergency and what is considered a minor alteration, what qualifications are needed for someone to fix the problem. For example, if you have a disintegrating joint mortar or a crack in the masonry, start by finding a company that has a qualified licensed architect or engineer to take a look. So it should be a company that has done this kind of work before and knows the laws in your area. And then you can also check online, look at the reviews that other people gave to this company. Even better would be if you know somebody that actually has used them before and knows about the quality of their work and can give you a reference. Then when you hire this company, they will tell you about how serious the problem is and what the requirements are to fix the problem. For example, they can inform you about what permits are needed and if you need to erect a sidewalk shed, fence, or other structures to protect the public while the work is being completed. They will also tell you roughly how much this will cost and what the next step is that you have to take. Now I want to return to the story I was telling you at the beginning of this video about the landlord that had the defective stone cornice. So what happened was that the city sent them a document called an emergency declaration. And in it, it specifies what the condition of the structure is that has the problem and what needs to get fixed. So in this case, the defective stone cornice. And then it tells you what the remedy is. So the first thing that he needed to do to remedy the situation was to erect a sidewalk shed to protect the pedestrians. And he had a deadline to do that. It had to be done very, very quickly. I think he had 24 hours. You can't just have the sidewalk shed erected indefinitely. Eventually, you're going to have to fix the problem. So yeah, you have a deadline to fix the problem in. If you don't get it done by the deadline, you can start incurring fines that just keep getting bigger and bigger. Eventually, the city will just hire somebody to do the work for the landlord, which of course will be way more expensive. So what the landlord did is install the sidewalk shed as quickly as he could by the deadline. Then he was able to find a company that specialized in this kind of work. When the company got to work, it found out that the cornice was badly deteriorated, so sections of it had to be removed so the condition of the backup wall could be inspected. Work had to be done on the reinforcing steel beams. Then some sections of the cornice had to be replaced and other sections patched, and a coating had to be applied to make it look cohesive. Just one last thing I want to mention to you before I let you go. If you found this video helpful, please give us a like, leave a comment, and most importantly, please subscribe to our channel. We are Premises Guardian, a property management company based in New York City. We can help you manage your properties with maximum profitability, less violations, and more satisfied tenants, which is something that we aim to do and have done for many of our clients. If you want to learn more about us, please click on the link in the video description below. That will take you to a page on our website where you can schedule a call with one of our team members to learn more about us and to see if we're a good fit. In the meantime, best of luck managing your properties, and I hope this video has been helpful.